Mr. Al Silverberg from SelectShops.com and I think SelectBlinds.com. Mr.
Good afternoon. SelectBlinds is an online retailer of window coverings, and I've made the trip from Phoenix to request for 2017 and 18 priorities to include and emphasize the need for cord-free legislation in the window covering industry. The reason is very simple. Window blinds with cords have killed or seriously injured, on average, 20 children a year. This is not new. It has been going on and has been documented since 1983, 33 years. There's no magic associated with that date. It just happens to be when this preventable hazard began being tracked. It's amazing to me that there are so many people that have no idea about these risks. I didn't know about it for years myself. A mandate to go cordless is only part of what we are requesting. We urge you to allocate sufficient funds to create, launch, and maintain a public awareness campaign. SelectBlinds is a small business, and because of that, it might be easier for us to make the move to only cordless. But it doesn't take decades. We made the decision known to our suppliers in November of 2015. At that time, we had targeted January 2017 as the transition timing, but as soon as we announced that, I knew there was no way we could wait that long. We cut the cords on March 31st of this year, 5 months from notice to implementation. There are now 3 cordless-only retailers, SelectBlinds.com, Target, and IKEA. SelectBlinds is the only retailer that is 100% cordless, including custom product. Target and IKEA have limited their offering to stock, or what is referred to as cut-down product. Either way, there is one simple reason why the 3 of us were able to make the change: commitment. SelectBlinds made the decision because we believe it to be the right decision. While we cannot force another retailer or the manufacturing community to follow suit, we feel with the right coordination of efforts, this issue can be resolved to the satisfaction of all concerned parties. 3 more retailers will join the cord-free commitment: Home Depot, Lowe's, and Walmart. The date that I heard was January 2018. That's 19 months from now. Although this is a significant move, it leaves all custom products out of the equation. Upgrading to cordless is not a cost-prohibitive move. First of all, there are 3 categories that have 0 cost impact: shutters, vertical blinds, and roller solar shades. These 3 categories account for about 30% of online sales. It's probably higher with in-home design consultants. Beyond those 3 categories, every blind or shade category can readily be made with a cordless lift or cord-inaccessible lift. The big guys already have the technology. There are also products like the Fashion Wand from Safety Shade that transforms a corded shade to a cord-inaccessible shade. Our most popular product is the Cell Shade or Honeycomb Shade. It cannot be that expensive to make them cordless. We buy a stock cordless cell shade for well under $40 on the most popular sizes. The vendor from whom we source this product is making money, I'm sure. So the real cost of an entire cordless shade, including freight, to get it delivered to anywhere in the lower 48 states is less than $30. That's a finished product delivered. So it can be done by every custom manufacturer. SelectBlinds has made the move. We are optimizing our product assortment daily. We would be in a more competitive landscape if we had every product on our site that our competition can offer, but even so, we are succeeding as a business entity with 100% cordless, self-imposed mandate. I've been in the window covering business for almost 11 years. Prior to that, I ran a company called Uniden. We were the #1 market share brand in the cordless phone business. I bring this up for a few reasons. 1, I understand the way to develop products. I know how to communicate with the engineers, whether electrical, mechanical, or other. 2, I have been able to get products that product development teams don't believe can be brought to market, from concept to mass production, dozens of times. 3, new products are the lifeblood of any organization. They give the consuming public a reason to buy. This is a beautiful thing. It adds jobs in the industry. The time for discussion is over. The hope for industry self-regulation has come and gone. A mandate is needed, and that is what we are here to ask for. The industry is capable of doing this. Perhaps they just need to approach it in a new way. I'd like to suggest a mandate for all product to be cord-free by January 1st, 2018. I'd like to suggest that the mandate include corroboration between retailers and manufacturers, and a committee be formed by September 1st, 2016 to oversee the progress. This is needed in order to get the focus where it should be. Put my name in the mix. I'm glad to be part of it. Let's quit playing Russian roulette with the lives of our kids. Issue a mandate. Do it now. Do it before this tragedy touches one of you, one of our congressional members, or one of the key executives at the helm of a window covering company, because that eventuality is very real, and then it will be too late for you to say that the reason you are issuing a mandate is because it's the right thing to do. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Silverberg. Mr. Alcorn, I'd appreciate that.
I would be happy to do so.
Thank you. Mr. Silverberg, thank you so much for coming. So what's the secret? We've been hearing for decades, thankfully I have not been alive that long, at least in this capacity, but the agency has been hearing for decades this is an unsolvable problem. It can't happen. And even for those who are willing to switch over, it's going to take years and years, and this is very technically difficult and impossible to provide consumer choice, yet somehow you had these magical conversations with your suppliers, who I assume are available to other companies as suppliers. What did you do that made a difference that others have not been able to figure out?
I drew a line in the sand. There's not a house in the United States that cannot be covered with window coverings, cordless, period.
And still maintain consumer choice and do it so in an economical way?
Absolutely. There's stock product right now that's cordless available. There's custom product right now that's cordless available. And I'm not sure what the reasoning is to talk about stock product only. Custom product is more easily configured by the manufacturer here in the U.S. or the fabricator here in the U.S. And so it's not a cost issue. If all the engineering resources of the manufacturers were put to this challenge, it would be solved so quickly. There are products that are available today, as I said, that have no cost impact whatsoever to the consumer, that are available cordless or corded at the same price. The engineers can do amazing things. They really can. You give them, in fact, they prefer to be challenged on a daily basis. It is fulfilling for them in their career. And to continue to build the same product with only changing colors or changing sizes, it can't be self-fulfilling for an engineer. I don't get it, Chairman. I just don't get it. It can be done, it should be done, and it's not a cost-prohibitive venture.
Well, I share your belief in the ingenuity and the creativity of industry, and I'm optimistic that, like you said, with the right mindset, we can get there. This has been one of the highest priorities that I've brought to this position from my perspective, because it is solvable. It has been going on so long, and I think enough is enough. Are you available if the industry does reopen the standard to participate in that and lend your expertise?
Absolutely.
That'd be
glad
great.
to do it.
Thank you. And Ms. Iverson with my
Mr. Silverberg, thank you for going 100% cordless. Certainly, I think all of us appreciate that the technology's there, that it's not expensive. We could do it, but it's been decades that we've been trying to get industry to adopt a voluntary standard. You ask for a mandate. I'm sure you know that for us to do a mandatory standard is a Herculean task. Particularly in this area where there are so many cords, and I am delighted to hear that you respond to the chair's question that you would participate if we were to open the standard again. Have you done so in the past? Have you participated in any voluntary standard?
I have not.
Good, okay.
But
I don't mean good that you haven't, I mean good that you will.
I'll grow my hair to take on that Herculean effort.
So I'm delighted that you will do that, particularly with respect to a hidden hazard like this.
Mr. Silverberg, before I have a couple of questions for you, I do want to say something because both of my colleagues have said this, and I want to make sure that the information out there is accurate. So we may have heard that it can't be done, but I don't think we're hearing that now. I think that industry has made it clear to the agency that the technology exists, it's available, consumers have a choice, and it can be done. And the question is, how do we find a way forward? So that may have been the issue a few years ago, but now the issue, I think there's no dispute that the technology is available. And this isn't directed at you, this is directed at my colleagues, that we did hear that in the past. But since I've been here, I've heard from industry, and as I mentioned this morning, I've been to the 3 major manufacturers of them, and they are willing, interested, and able to produce cordless products, and certainly products with inaccessible cords. And that's very important to what we're talking about here today. When you made the change, can you talk to us about what happened to the price of the blind?
Absolutely. It went up. It cost more. In some cases, it cost a little more. In some cases, it cost not much more than a little more, but based on the price of the product to begin with, the ratio of the upcharge was such that it put us in an uncompetitive position. That's easily rectified by mass production of cordless blinds. With volume comes efficiencies and cost reduction. And so if the manufacturers have to make them all cordless, you will see the costs come down dramatically very quickly.
Okay. I mean, that is certainly an acceptable theory, right? That when we do things in mass production, the price comes down. But I think the difference and Commissioner Robinson continues to say this, that we, for Section 9 rulemaking, have extremely difficult obstacles to overcome. And I think what's key here in your testimony and your being here and the decision you made is a business decision that you made, a commendable one, but you made the decision, and that's different than having it be imposed on you. And so I think you should be commended for making that decision, and it was a business decision you made. So I just want to point that out. I do want to emphasize that the technology is available. I don't think there's any dispute. Major manufacturers have made that clear, and now the question is, how do we find a way forward to get to a voluntary standard that addresses this issue? So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. I thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Burkle. Commissioner Mohorovic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, panelists, for appearing today, especially new participants. So it's always good to see other associations with interests that recognize that it's important to visit with the CPSC. And Mr. Silverberg, thank you for your long travel. If you could engage me, forgive me, I'm not as familiar with SelectBlinds.com. You mentioned you're an online retailer.
Yes.
Have you always been an online retailer?
Yes.
You have for the 11 years, I think.
Yes.
You've been in business.
Yes.
Do you sell to subcontractors and contractors, or is it a direct-to-consumer business?
It's primarily direct-to-consumer, but we do have a dealer division, which is suffering more than the general part of the business.
What percent of your business do you think is direct-to-consumer? You had to guess.
95%.
95%.
Yes.
Direct-to-consumers, writing you, selecting credit card information, and you cut a PO and you send product out.
Yes.
Excellent. Now, you made the decision to go cordless in November of 2015. Tell me about that decision making. Was it your team? Tell me a little bit about that moment that you decided, look, we're going to make a business decision and we're going to go completely cordless.
I drove it 100%. I have understood that window blind cords were killing kids when I heard the first recall or retrofit and on Roman shades.
Right.
And coming from an industry where I was cutting the cords previously in consumer electronics with telephones.
Yeah.
Right, I've been cutting the cords my whole life. But I don't know what the trigger was that hit me so hard, but it just really impacted me that we were selling a product that is dangerous to kids. CPSC compliant product is killing kids still. And I just couldn't get up in the morning, look myself in the eye in the mirror, and go to work knowing that we were selling a product that's dangerous to kids. These are innocents. It's our responsibility to give them the most safe environment that we possibly can. And to cut the cord is not cost prohibitive. And what parent wouldn't pay $20 or $30 or $40 more a window to make sure they have a safe product for their children?
Right. Yeah, if they were aware of the hazard too, right, and appreciated it.
And that's why I say that an education program is also necessary to go hand in hand with this, because even if we decided today that not another corded blind will be sold, there's 140 million households in the U.S., 150 million households in the U.S., it's going to take a long time to cycle through all those products. But we have to start somewhere, we have to start someday, and we just made the decision that we're not going to wait any longer. And we started March 31st because April 1st was April Fool's Day, and I didn't want any confusion in the industry that we were playing a joke. And April was a tough month for us, I'll admit it, but in May we actually had a higher revenue number than we did in May last year. So it's not 100% detrimental to any business.
Yeah, you mentioned that it does put you at a competitive disadvantage, but you've been able to thrive still in a cordless environment.
Absolutely. And the one category that we've been the most successful in, which is honeycomb or cellular shades, we have been working with our manufacturers on making them cordless for us for years, and we have a very small surcharge for the cordless solution on those. But the reality is there are additional solutions necessary to make every window cordless accessible, because some are hard to reach, some are behind furniture, some people are not able to reach high enough to get the window shade all the way open. And motorization is an example of a technology that will address any window, but it's going to take more work to get the motorization costs down. That is an expensive proposition today, but it doesn't have to be. Mm-hmm. Motorization is, it's a radio. We make radio frequency products available at reasonable prices in many categories of products, including cordless phones, which nobody buys them anymore because everyone has a cell phone. But remote control for your TV, remote control for your lights, remote control for your thermostat. We remote control everything.
Right. Just watch out for those button cell batteries in there, right?
Exactly.
So in November of 2015, did you come to the conclusion that all corded window blinds present an unreasonable risk of injury or death?
I came to the conclusion that it is not possible to determine from our side what is or is not reasonable to expect from a cordless or corded product in the home use. And the only way to be sure that the expectation is met, that the blind will be safe, is to sell it without a cord.
Mm-hmm. And you've got, with 95% of your sales, you've got direct ability to contact all of your, everybody who has purchased corded blinds.
Over a million customers.
Have you, what kind of information have you subsequently sent out to those customers of yours who you've made and sold to them corded blinds? We
email them on a weekly basis. We have educated them as much as we can. We have implemented a Go Cordless initiative where we have committed to completely retrofit one home a month for any family that submits a story that is going to give us the feeling that they're the most deserving of anybody who submits their request to have us make their home all cordless.
A previous customer.
A previous, no, and new
oh,
customer.
Any new customer too.
And we take this very seriously. Before we went all cordless, we offered every consumer, any consumer that wanted a cord cleat for every window in their house, we sent them out for free. But cord cleats are not the answer. Cord cleats are, just earlier this year, a kid was strangled by a cord cleat blind that was properly wrapped, and it didn't prevent the tragedy.
Have you plans to recall your corded product with CPSC through a fast track recall?
No.
Why not, in terms of commitment? I mean, I recognize some of your language, and I know it's rhetoric to be, to have the best possible impact And let me ask you one quick question first. Did I hear you correctly when you said 19 deaths, months? Was that purposeful or was that truly a slip?
It was intentional.
It was intentional. Okay, I thought so. It wasn't missed on me. But you did mention that we're playing Russian roulette with children, and you've sold corded product to family. You have the ability to reach them and to offer them a repair, a recall, or a refund. And I'm just curious how you can make that commitment and yet not want to offer them without charge your cordless product.
Well, I could do that, but I would be out of business pretty quickly, right? If I gave everybody free blinds. But I appreciate the comment, and I do take it to heart, and it is something that we've thought about, and we are actually working very hard to come up with what is the right financial model where we can offer a discount to such a degree that anybody can replace their corded blind with a cordless blind. I'm not sure what the answer is yet, but trying to think of a way. Cut your cord, send us your cord, we'll give you a 50% discount on a cordless blind. I don't know if that will work. We have to run the models, but we also have to stay in business.
I recognize that. Right, and we don't want to put the American consumer out of business, and I think one of the things that's missed in a lot of regulatory consideration is how regressive regulation is. It disproportionately impacts low-income folks in terms of price points, whether it's table saws or cordless product in terms of price point increases. And if you believe that we should mandate only cordless blinds by regulation, do you also think that we should tolerate corded blind in the marketplace, or should we, in fact, along the same rationale, recall all corded blinds in the United States? How could one tolerate corded blinds in the marketplace that present a risk if one believes that risk is there, and yet at the same time justify a mandatory standard?
It's been done for decades. Look at the auto industry. Seatbelts. We didn't recall cars. We didn't retrofit cars. They worked their way through. What about the third brake light in the window? We didn't call all the cars back in. We didn't say you had to retrofit your cars. It just happens to take time, and eventually what you see on the street is a car that is meeting the standards and not seeing cars that don't meet the standards. And the same thing has to happen in window blinds.
Thank you. Thank you for your candor. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Mohorovic. Thank you to the panel, Dr. Fox-Rawling, Ms. Hitchcock, Mr. Alcorn, Mr. Silverberg, Ms. Iverson. We appreciate your testimony coming here today. Just a few other items as we wrap up. I do want to remind